Seahawks fans, wherever you may be. Thanks for listening to the show. Join your hosts, Bill Alvstad and Keith Myers, as we talk Seahawks football. Hey, hi, Seahawks fans. Welcome back to another episode of the Seahawks Playbook podcast. I'm your host, Bill Alvstad, sitting down with co-host Mr. Keith Myers, here to talk Seahawks football after a disappointing loss to the San Francisco 49ers at home, 17-13. Brock Purdy led them on a fourth quarter drive with about 3 minutes and 30 seconds left, culminating in a touchdown to their not very often used tight end that stepped in front of Tariq Woolen for the catch, and then and that was before Mike Macdonald elected not to go for it on fourth down on the 19-yard line deep in 49er territory. Kicked that field goal instead. Did put us up 13-10 at the time. Gave the ball back to the 49ers, and they marched down the field in like a minute and a half without using a timeout. One of the big plays there was a Ricky Parasol reception again over Reek Woolen, and then Reek allowed that touchdown, and then the strip sack by Boye there to end the game. All in all, a disappointing series of events led up to that, but there was a lot that didn't really go very well, I think, throughout the game. You can point to those plays as being key to the loss, but you can take a look at a lot of different metrics that point to why the Seahawks did not win this game. Welcome in, Keith. Let's have a great conversation. It is a game one. There's a lot of, in fact, if you're going to have a game like this, to have it in game one, I think is ideal because the team can really go back and figure it all out. I was disappointed overall in the offense and, some of the defensive stuff, but they were out on the field a lot. And at the end, I think they just got worn out, And so,
in reality, the defense played pretty well. I mean, it gave up 17 points in a game in which they were on the field for 2/3 of the game and got very little help from the offense. And also, I mean, a lot of that came 95 yards and 7 of those points came on San Francisco's opening drive. And after that, it was real hard sledding for San Francisco for the entire game until the very end. Yeah. And at the very end, it came down to the Seahawks were in position to make plays, but Reek Woolen basically stopped running, thinking that the ball was going to come up short, and then it went over his head.
He misplayed that play twice in the same play.
Yeah, and then
unfortunate.
And then again, on the touchdown, the go-ahead touchdown, he was in position to make an interception and stood there and let the tight end step in front of him and take the ball away. He had a rough game.
That was overall tough. Plus two penalties.
And the fourth quarter was just really, really hard to watch if you're a Reek Woolen fan. I mean, the defense played really well, and if they could avoid Reek Woolen's deciding to take a nap in the fourth quarter, Seattle wins this game based on the strength of the defense. So I have a hard time putting a lot of the blame for this on the defense.
Oh yes. I think of course. No, I think the blame is on the offense. I think the defense did a great job, held them to 17 points, held them to 10 points up until 3 minutes and change in this game. Seattle looks like it's going to come back and score until the very last play, and put themselves back in a position to kind of get this thing. I don't blame the defense. Now you can take a look at that series at the end there, the last series that San Francisco had to go down and take the lead. That was awful, right? But again, at that point in the game, Seattle had, close to 20 minutes of time of possession. San Francisco had 36 minutes. at that point. We had 3 of 10 third down conversions total in the game. Didn't try for it on fourth down. They converted 2 of 2. We had 50 total plays. They had 72. Sacks allowed, we had 1 apiece. We got a lot of pressure on them. I think I read before we came on that Brock Purdy had a career high against him of pressure rate at over 57% on each drop back. That's outstanding, really, for the Seahawks defense. Now, they weren't able to get to him all the time. He was able to get the ball up pretty quickly most times, but I like that pressure rate that Seattle had.
They were making it hard on him. They really were.
Yeah. We weren't penalized as a team. We had 4 penalties. They had 9. We lost 2 fumbles. So those turnovers were a big impact in this game. One from Njigba, the other obviously from Darnold there at the end. The time of possession thing really is the tale. The Seahawks offense just wasn't able to do anything. I think everything that they tried to do as well went through Njigba. Nobody else was involved. Like the tight ends were non-existent in this game. I thought Ken Walker struggled extremely when he had an opportunity to carry the ball. I thought Charbonnet did better.
He absolutely did better.
For me, it looks like that needs to be swapped. That is not working for me. But anyway, let's break this thing down. Let's talk about what you saw, what you want to talk about, what you think are the pain points here that we really should be focusing on.
So let's start with where you ended was on the Charbonnet Walker thing. Walker had 10 carries for 20 yards, right? 2 yards per carry. That's awful. Especially when you compare that to Charbonnet, who had 12 carries for 47 yards, which is 3.9, which is less than you'd want, but it was significantly better. And it just felt that way throughout the game that Walker was dancing too much to the line of scrimmage.
Hesitant, very hesitant.
He wasn't getting up through holes, or Charbonnet was. And I think that you look at it, I don't understand why they would continue trying to make the Walker thing happen when Charbonnet was working. Go with the hot hand, right?
It looked like a player who hadn't really practiced or played much during training camp or the preseason and came in just was not ready.
Yeah. Well,
that's what it looked like.
And at halftime, Charbonnet had 9 carries for 40 yards. Right? Great, better than 4 yards per carry average. At the end of the game, he had 12. He had 3 carries in the entire second half.
Yeah, that's the big story, I think, out of this game really is Klint Kubiak, the play calling, the lack of execution, the lack of conversions on third down. It didn't look at all like the offense that we looked at in preseason. They just looked tepid, timid, and unphysical at the line of scrimmage. I thought San Francisco came out and played hard. Like their inexperienced defensive line plus Bosa gave them fits all game. I didn't think the pressure was or anything like that was too much on Darnold. I thought he had plenty of time. I thought there was a couple of drops. I didn't think they spread the ball out at all. Again, they didn't use the tight ends. I think the tight end use in this game left me befuddled. I'll be honest.
Only had 4 targets to tight end, 3 targets to tight ends in this game.
Yeah, and maybe that's attributed to the fact that we only ran 50 plays, and the time of possession was 22 minutes. You're just not allowing your offense to get any rhythm, any sort of consistency when it's like that. It reminded me of last year's offense when I looked at it from a high view. Just looking at the way that it functioned and dysfunctioned, it just reminded me a lot of the way it was last year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I felt it felt more competently schemed, but less talented at receiver. And I think that was Njigba had 13 targets. out of 22 pass attempts. There were only 9 passes thrown by the Seahawks that did not go to JSN.
What do you attribute that to? What does your gut tell you? What happened there?
My gut tells me that they didn't trust Torrey Horton to run plays for him, and Cooper Kupp did not get open. That's what that tells me. Kupp had 3 targets, 2 receptions, 15 yards. He's supposed to be your number 2. He's supposed to be your guy that's a possession receiver that gets a bunch of 6-7 yard receptions, and he got 2. Like that is worrisome. If you're not going to give Horton a shot as your third receiver, and you're going to run your tight ends out there all the time, which I believe Barner played 44 of 50 snaps, you better be doing some stuff where you're getting your tight ends an opportunity to make some plays.
Yeah.
And
Arroyo had 1 reception for 7 yards. Barner had 1 reception for 0 yards.
That's it. Yeah.
That's the end.
They threw the ball to Walker 3 times for a total of 4 yards.
They had one screenplay set up where he lost like 7 yards. And I was just like, how in the heck can you scheme that up and not account for blocking that side? I was like, wow, that's not good.
Everyone in San Francisco saw that screen coming, and that was part of it. And the other part of it was that, Ken Walker got out in front of his blocking. He caught the ball and then ran right into a defender before the offensive lineman could get outside to do their job. But at the same time, they had 3 people over there. So even if you wait for the offensive line to get there and make that their blocks, you still got to beat someone just to get back to the line of scrimmage. So it was bad. I don't know. It's just Darnold missed a couple that thought he could have hit. But ultimately, you look at his stat line. 16 completions, 70% completion percentage, no interceptions. He played okay given what he had.
Yeah,
but
you'd like to see him hold on to the ball in that fumble situation, but again, that happened fairly quickly, and Abe Lucas normally is pretty stout in those situations, and just got shoved back into that situation. And Darnold was surprised that he was there. It's a fumble. It happens. It's the worst case scenario. But I think overall, I agree with you. I think Sam Darnold is not the reason. I mean, he's a bit vanilla, and I thought they checked down quite a bit. They didn't really stretch the field. You mentioned Torrey Horton not even being a target. Arroyo, down the field was not an option. And you'll hear, I think, if Klint Kubiak had a press conference, I think you'd hear him say, we had plays designed in our game plan that we just didn't get to. And I think that's absolutely probably true. That they just didn't get to the playbook. They got to all the setup plays, but they didn't get to the plays that were designed to work off of those sorts of plays. And success, I think, it builds on success, and they just didn't have enough success on first and second down in this game, and to give them a real opportunity to continue drives, to build off that playbook, to get other players involved. It just didn't happen. I was disappointed, really honest, at the level of blocking on the offensive line in the run game, and the hesitancy that I saw at Ken Walker. I think were 2 huge factors for me in this game.
Yeah.
And I think that it's not something that can't be fixed. I'm not so disappointed that the season is over and I'm trying to, trade Woolen and I'm trying to get rid of somebody on the offense. No. These are fixable things that I think the team will actually really benefit from having all of this tape now against the 49ers. I don't expect, like when we play them later in December, I do not expect this same team and this same result to show up. This was kind of a team that just wasn't quite ready to play, and ran into a team that was better equipped. I think skill set and talent wise, they were evenly matched, really honest, until that last drive when things went well for 49ers and things didn't end up going well for the Seahawks. Otherwise, that's a toss-up game until inside 3 minutes left in that game.
It's a toss-up game throughout, even after that touchdown, the Seahawks were down.
Yeah.
They were in, it was 2nd and 4, I believe, but they were on the 8-yard line. So
9-yard line. Yeah.
Because they could get a first down, but they were pretty much close. Yeah. They were close enough to be, an goal situation. And
it looked like Kupp was going to emerge and be open. And it looks like that's where Darnold intended to go. I think that play could have resulted in a touchdown had that not been a forced strip sack fumble situation, because I think that was the intent. So anyway,
it looked like it, because the offense had moved the ball down the field. They were in position to complete a pass, score a touchdown, win the game. And unfortunately,
and take some more time off too.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Bosa is all world and got himself underneath Abe Lucas's pads and pushed Lucas back into Darnold's arm. And it happens when you got playing against a guy that's that good. Maybe it would have been nice.
Won't happen again. See, now I like that play, not in a good way, but I like that play for Abe Lucas to get early in the season. Because I can guarantee you that dude is not going to allow that to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
So
I will say that there's, if you go through and you look at the running game, Charbonnet ran well. He ran hard. It looked good. But when, you start looking at the plays that were bottled up, there was one play in particular where Abe Lucas just flat whiffed, and a guy threw into the backfield unblocked and blew up a running play. Not Abe Lucas. It was
Bradford,
who just missed. But other than that, there were a lot of runs for 0 or -1 yards where the running back got at least close to the line of scrimmage and then ran into defenders. There weren't unblocked guys into the backfield.
Was it just me, Keith, or did you see a lack of wide zone calls in this game?
There were a few, but they were trying to keep stuff more inside. It looked game planned, like they were trying to keep the 49ers interior, crashing to the middle and not to the outside. They ran a couple times to the outside, and San Francisco just had the speed to get out there with the linebackers. And so I don't know. My guess is that for some reason they were looking at something about the way San Francisco plays defense and wanted to run up the middle more. Just because they thought they had a mismatch there and they didn't on the outside. But yeah, I was expecting more outside zone. I don't know. They tried to run it a few times, but Walker would get over there and then stutter his feet and then plow into someone for a 1 yard gain or a 1 yard loss.
This certainly wasn't the confident team we saw against the Kansas City Chiefs in preseason. Mm-hmm. Like there was none of that. Like, man, these guys are really winning the line of scrimmage and they're opening up holes and we are seeing massive success. There was none of that. I had no feeling at all in the confidence level that we could run. Now I want to ask you about a couple of things. Now we'll talk about some good stuff here too, but I want I want to talk to you about the way they use Jalen Milroe. So Jalen Milroe comes in, like second play of the game or for first series anyway, comes in like on a second down in 6 or whatever, comes in for a single play, gains a single yard on a designed run, straight up the gut, didn't pick up really anything. He leaves the game. They go on to, I think maybe they picked that up after that, but he never sees the game again.
Yeah.
What was going on there?
So I think it was a case where you only run 50 offensive plays. You're not going to get to your gadget very often. And so they brought him in. They showed that to San Francisco. They put it on tape, and now they're telling every team, make sure you waste some of your practice time to prep for this. But they didn't come back to it because they didn't really have time to. I think if this is
that's true,
the offense had been more efficient, if they'd been on the field for more and run 70 plays and had a lead, and we're trying to, I think you would have seen Milroe a couple more times come in, run the Wildcat, and all of that. But it just never, the game flow just never got them to a point where that was the right call.
I noticed that AJ Barner came in and ran a play on a 3rd and 1, got the first down, but I was surprised it wasn't Robbie Oots.
Yeah, a little bit. I think, I don't know. I think with that, they're trying to just create confusion, get some guys, where they're not seeing what Seattle's doing and generate that yard you need to get a first down. Whereas with its Oots, you're lining up in the eye and just handing it off to the lead blocker. It's just kind of a different situation than when you motion a guy in to the backfield and you bring a linebacker across the formation defensively, and you're just doing different things. I think they were trying to find a way to make it work. That was more, I don't know, more confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But
so beyond the Woolen 2 plays that were bad, beyond the Sam Darnold fumble that essentially shut us out of having an opportunity to score, beyond the 3 for 10 on 3rd downs that essentially led to a 2-to-1 disparity in time of possession, beyond the only rushing for 84 yards on a 3.2 yard per carry average, beyond not seeing anybody other than Njigba catch a ball really with any meaningful yards in this game. Tell me about 2 players that you really thought played well and you're excited to continue to see.
Well, I mean, you look over at the defense, and you've got to like what you saw up front by Seattle's front, whether it was Murphy or Williams coming up and getting pressure, guys coming off the edge. DeMarcus Lawrence had a great game. So did Boye, Mafe. Hall did as well. Like that rotation of the 3.
It took Christian McCaffrey 22 carries to get 69 yards. I mean, it wasn't like a blowout or anything running the ball.
No, it wasn't. They, he had a couple of good runs, and for the most part was bottled up. And when you can do that to a guy like Christian McCaffrey, you've had a good day. But I like what they did in the front with their front. They got after Purdy. They shut McCaffrey down. And
had a couple of interceptions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought Ernest Jones' interception was really very, very good, and Josh Jobe, really nice high point to step in front of a receiver to catch another interception too. Both plays gave the ball back to the offense and generated another opportunity, and it just didn't work.
If Woolen could have done something even mildly like that on the 2 passes on that final drive, Seattle wins this game. But I don't know how you misplay balls once they're in the air as bad as.
So I want to talk to you about that Woolen thing. So that the big completion to Ricky Parasol. I think it was like 45 yards and that led then to the touchdown there with 4 minutes to go in the game, to give them the lead. On that play, the initial play off the line of scrimmage was Parasol gave him a pretty decent fake. Woolen bit hard down towards the line of scrimmage. That enabled Parasol to essentially just sprint past Woolen. Okay, so the Woolen's in catch-up mode. So Woolen catches up to him, turns back around to find the ball or if the ball is going to be thrown, hesitates for a minute, right? And kind of stands still, and Parasol just keeps going. And then it's too late. Woolen's now sprinting to try to catch up again to Parasol, and he catches the ball outstretched beyond the reach of Woolen. So he got beat literally twice on one play.
Well, the first part, I think what you're looking at there is that he knows he's got safety help, and they also, given the situation, there's a belief that San Francisco is going to the boundary, and so you're looking at a quick out, that type of thing. So yeah, he bit, and got beat, but he also turned and recovered very quickly. And when the ball was,
I'll give him that.
When the ball was in the air, he was right in Parasol's hip. And as a guy with his length, you're in position to make a play, and that ball was floated way up into the air. He had time to turn, find the ball, and go get it. And he turned, found the ball, and then stopped running because I think he thought it was going to come down 10 yards shorter than it did, and just misplayed just didn't read where the ball was going to fly while it was in the air, and it went over his head for a big gain. I mean, that was terrible. It was like, you turn, you find the ball, go get it.
Yeah.
You don't, just to misread it that badly while it's flying is,
and if it could be any worse, you let like a fourth or fifth string tight end beat you in the end zone. Not even really beat you. He had position, right? Until the very last second when the big tight end just pushed Woolen out of the way and went and got the ball aggressively. Like Woolen standing there.
He's just standing
gone
there
and made a play on that ball aggressively. He could have had an interception there with a long way to run all the way, as a return.
That ball was thrown to Woolen. It was not thrown to Tunges. It was thrown to Woolen. And Tunges made a great defensive play to go get the ball and make the catch and therefore get the touchdown. Tunges had no business getting that pass.
That left me bewildered. And it's plays like that. So that's back-to-back plays against Woolen in a drive that was like 96 yards in a minute and 38 seconds. I think something like that. They had that big 60-yard completion to Parasol and then the 15-yard touchdown. That were the two big plays in that drive. And they didn't even use a timeout. It was just nuts. And it's plays like that, those two plays that really make me think hard about this whole situation with Woolen. Like we had some serious hopes, Keith. We talked about it on the show a couple different times. The coaches came out emphatically backing him up. He's working hard. He's put in the off season. He's going to be a good playmaker for us. His head is in the game. He's not taking any plays off over and over again. Okay. So when you hear those things as a fan, as a reporter, you're kind of take these guys' word for it. This is the projected number one defense in the NFL. You're deferring to your coach and to your leadership on defense that this guy's in it to win it. And I did not see that at all in that fourth quarter. And I'm disappointed. Yeah. Now, did it cost us the game? No, there were many other factors and plays that cost a team a game. But in that critical fourth quarter, players make plays and pretenders are pretenders, man. And they made plays on San Francisco and we did not. And that's the difference in this game.
Well, I mean, Woolen didn't make plays. Other guys did. That pass to Parasol, which was entirely a Woolen mistake, was equaled on the following Seattle possession by a long pass to JSN. Right? That's a player making plays. Did what he needed to do to get his team in position to win the game.
I thought Sam Darnold made that play happen too. I mean, yeah.
I mean, the guys made plays. Not enough of them, and it's definitely not enough of them, but they did. And when you have an offense that only had 230 yards of offense over the course of a game, that went 3 of 10 on third down, never tried a fourth down, and then you have the defensive gaffes that Woolen made at the end, and a couple of fumbles, and that's how you lose football game.
So talk to me a little bit about San Francisco 49ers and their defense, and or our offense. Like, which one was it? Was it our ineptitude on offense and not executing plays, lack of confidence, jitters, lack of skilled performance from a couple of players? Or was it whatever the 49ers were doing on defense that was really frustrating us, and really they deserve the credit to slow our offense down?
I think it's a little of both. Bosa made some plays, especially that one at the end. I mean, that wasn't a team effort play. That was a Bosa just dominating and creating a turnover in a way
Dominating a really good tackle.
Yeah, in a way that very few guys can do. And okay, that sucked, but that was a guy like just making a play. That's why
you pay guys like that.
Yeah, it is why you pay guys like that. That was, like I said, that was not a as a team, them lining up and being better defensively than Seattle's offense. That was one guy doing that. And other than that, on that drive, Seattle's offense had their number. There's a lot of things in there. Yeah, some guys made some plays. I like kind of what they did on the line. They moved guys around. They tried to make things difficult for Seattle. They managed to make some things difficult, but reality, it came down to guys not getting open. Looking at Cooper Kupp, too easily covered too often.
Are you concerned with the talent level in our receiving room?
A little, yeah. I think the talent's there. You have, but they didn't trust Horton. He didn't play much.
Yeah. Did he have even a target?
He did not. They did not really they did not run a play for him. And he's supposed to be your number 3.
They didn't have a target for AJ Barner.
Yeah, they had one. He had a
catch. Oh, that's right. One for no yards.
Yeah, he had one catch. 2 targets
for
AJ Barner.
Two targets. Okay, so 2 targets, one catch, for 1 target for Arroyo.
For 7, yeah. One of the things that I think they really wanted to get Ken Walker going. That seemed to be like their primary mission offensively, was to get Ken Walker going, and it never happened. And I think ultimately that came back and bit them. Because Charbonnet was having a lot more success. And I think if you continued to run Charbonnet out there, you're, instead of being at 3rd and 7, you're at 3rd and 3, and it's easier to pick it up. And your play action works a little better, and you can do some different things. I just, I look at all of that, and I'm left wondering whose call it was to continue, as things weren't working in the second half, to continue pushing Ken Walker and not to just go with the hot hand with Charbonnet and go back to try and reestablishing Walker next week.
I don't necessarily blame that if that's exactly what happened, because of the kind of player that Ken Walker can be. Now, we haven't seen it for a while. I think it's been since 2022 that he's had a run over 60 yards. But I think that what a coach is trying to do is trying to get some electricity going in this offense, generate a big play. I think they would like to generate one or two big plays a game running the ball. And it's one of those, it's one of those game flow things. I think when you end up having 22 minutes of possession, nothing is working, right? That shows you nothing is really working. It's fairly disjointed. There's nothing that is consistent that you can hang your hat on, and you just keep trying to throw some stuff out there. And I think Ken Walker kind of, was a beneficiary of something like that. Not that Charbonnet, I think, in the end, I think Charbonnet may have caught up to Ken on attempts and so forth, had the game gone a slightly different way.
I don't know. He had 9 attempts in the first half. He had 10 total, at least according to this. And then on another thing, it said I had another source that said he had 12 total. Oh no, he did have 12 total. There we go. But he had 9 in the first half. They were trying to get Ken Walker the ball in the second half.
Okay, but they still gave, Charbonnet ended with 12 carries. Walker had 10. Charbonnet had twice the success, had a touchdown. I think that,
all of it came in the first half.
And I think that I just don't think that there was enough opportunities. And they just didn't convert. They just didn't convert. Like when the opportunities were there, Sam Darnold just didn't convert those throws. And that can be a combination of a lot of different things.
Who had the longest run out of any Seahawk?
I have no idea. Honest. Probably that Charbonnet.
Nope. Sam.
It was touchdown.
It was Sam Darnold. That the last play from scrimmage before the field goal, just before halftime.
Okay. Like 13 yards or whatever.
It was only for 9.
Oh, okay. But he picked up the first down and.
Yeah, they ran a quarterback sweep to the right side, and he picked up 9. That was the best run for the Seahawks of the day.
So you mentioned this field goal thing. Let's talk about the decision to kick a field goal to go up 13-10 with 3 minutes and 24 seconds left on the clock, rather than go for it on fourth down at the 49ers 19-yard line. So
you didn't like it.
Well, and we talked about it in real time there with a text. It was like, here's 3 minutes and 24 seconds. You're up 13-10. You're on the 19-yard line.
Well, you're not up 13-10. It's 10.
Oh, you're tied. You're tied 10-10. Okay. And the way that the defense was kind of gassed and been on the field, and the clock was lopsided and on and on and on. And the way that we played in the preseason with the picking up short yardage, all factored into my brain at that moment. And I was like, okay, we're going to go for this. We're going to pick up this first down. We're going to get that clock down below 2 minutes, and we're either going to score a field goal or we're going to score a touchdown. And we're going to take, clock off is really my objective. Other than, we're going to get points. And I thought it was a mistake. I really did. I thought it was showed a lack of confidence in the offense, in Sam Darnold, in our running game, in our fullback, in our offensive line. It just showed lack of confidence at a critical moment in a game where I think we could have, I'm not going to say we could have won in that situation, but I don't think it would have hurt. I think everyone would have understood if we hadn't have made it, but gone for it on 4th and 1 at that point. And if we would have made it, I think it could have changed the whole dynamic of that game and potentially the season.
I didn't mind the call. And the reason why I didn't mind the call is because it gave the team the lead. Now, the 49ers had scored 3 points in the second half.
Points are points, man.
They had scored 3 points in the entire second half. It's not like the first half where they had that one long 97-yard drive and got the touchdown and then had a couple other opportunities but missed some field goals. They had opportunities to score 3 points in the entire second half. Seattle's defense, despite being gassed and having been out on the field a lot, had San Francisco's number. They had figured it out. And you go ahead, get the points. Trust your defense. There's no reason not to trust your defense. They've been doing the job. So you get the lead, trust your defense to go out there and do their thing. And honestly, 10 out of the 11 guys on the field did their job on that next drive.
So here's what Macdonald said about that whole sequence. He said, if you go and get the first down, you're not guaranteed a touchdown, Macdonald said. You're going to knock some time off the clock, and ultimately you'll probably end up with a score on that. The San Francisco 49ers are going to be in 4-down situation coming down the field, probably with all 3 of their timeouts, which is a difficult situation for the defense. I think the numbers are about 40 to 50%, 60% score rate in that situation. That's what's going through my mind. Macdonald said he thought that the 49ers would have been in a 3-down mode, down 3, but he may not have been right about that given the missed field goal and the other block earlier in the game. It wound up being moot because the 49ers quickly moved the ball into the red zone and scored on third down pass from Purdy to Tongas. I think, it could have gone either way, and it did. It went the way that it went, and we did score points. I think you do expect the defense to step up and make a stop, and they probably would tell you that we want the game on our shoulders in that situation. The team went down and scored points and put us in a position to win, and we let them down. And then
if
the offense,
if Woolen doesn't stop on one play and let the ball go over his head for a long reception, and then stand there and watch someone else step in front of him for a touchdown, then the defense does its job and Seattle wins this game. Or at least they get there's a field goal to tie it, and then Seattle can move the ball down the field like they did, get within field goal range, kick a field goal win. I think trusting the defense was the right move, much more than trusting the offense, because the offense
even with the time of possession disparity that we were at that point, you knew the defense was maybe gassed.
You're going to trust the offense that did nothing for most of the game over the defense that had played really well.
Listen, okay, here's
I'm going to trust the better of the two units. I'm going to trust the defense before I trust this offense.
Here's where it's at. We're in the game 1 of the season. Your team dominated running the ball in the preseason. You have got to show confidence in your offense to be able to move the ball 1 yard in a critical situation that's going to give your team the best possible chance to win the game. I think in that situation, Keith, going for it and getting it gave the team the best possible chance to win with that much time left on the clock. I think that your situation is also viable. I'm just going to say that I don't believe that it was the best possible solution or situation to put the team in.
I don't like the idea of saying I'm going to trust the offense because I don't trust the defense, given the fact that the defense is really good and the offense.
I don't think that was the read, though. I don't think that would have been the read there.
But that is what you're saying. You're saying
no. I'm saying I'm going to trust the offense. Now the defense is going to be the defense. Now I may end up not making it here on 4th and 1, and I'm going to have to trust my defense anyway. If I kick a field goal, I'm going to have to trust my defense. That wasn't the question. The question was going to be answered by the defense no matter what, because they were going to go back on the field. The question was, do we trust the offense enough to pick up 1 yard at a critical time in the game?
At what point in this
to
entire
hold
game
possession, take the
offense
time
done
off the
anything to
clock,
help you,
and go get those
trust
points
them?
anyway? I think it was a failure to believe in the offensive side of the ball at a critical moment in a game, even though the offense had struggled up until that moment. I'm just saying at that moment, you gotta trust your offense to make 1 yard.
I don't know.
I would have done that. That would have been my call.
You're in position, you take the lead, you turn the ball over to your defense is better than your offense by a wide margin. You let the defense go out and win you the game. And they didn't. The defense let them down. If you go for it there and you fail to get it, you lose the game. Like you're probably going to lose the game. Because now you're giving them
they're literally on the 19, right? You missed the field goal. They're on the 19. They've got 3 minutes and 47 seconds to go with 3 timeouts. That's not a great situation, but also they went down and they scored in 1 minute and 30 seconds. You had almost 2 minutes left on the clock when we gained possession. And whether they scored a field goal or whether they scored 7 points, we did have an opportunity to have full possession and march down the field. And we did that up until that field goal or the fumble. So time's a funky thing there at the end of games, man. If you have all your timeouts with over 3 minutes to go, you're in a pretty good situation. I give you that with the 49ers. There's no doubt there, but they hadn't done anything either on offense up until that moment.
You're right. So, they hadn't. So trust the defense to do that.
But what I'm saying is the trust was already inherently built in. You were either going to go for it and miss and trust your defense to hold from there on, or you were going to get the 3 points and you were going to trust your defense to hold to them to at least 0 points or 3 to tie it up or give up, 7. You were banking on your defense no matter what. No matter what you did in that situation. I think you were depending on your defense still to hold them, and it just didn't work. That's why I would have gone for it, because
that's why I wouldn't have, because if you're going to trust your defense no matter what, you're either going to trust them with a lead, saying hold the lead for us, or you're going to trust them in a tie game where you're saying don't lose.
Where I took a 60% chance to put the game away. So if I would have got that 4th down conversion, then I could have potentially run that clock under 2 minutes, well under 2 minutes before I scored, or scored right away and got 7 points. I like that scenario better in that situation. I don't think that the next time this happens, the same call happens for Mike Macdonald. I think that Mike Macdonald ends up going for it on most situations like that this season.
If the offense shows that it can get a yard when it needs a yard, sure. But until that happens.
It did earlier in the game.
Did it?
They ran a play for AJ Barner and he picked up a 1st down. I don't know. I mean, they did show that they could pick up short yardage in this game. It's not like they didn't. There wasn't a lot of negative plays. There just wasn't a lot of plays over 2 or 3 yards running the ball. They just weren't there.
Yeah. I just think that take the lead when you have a chance to lead the lead. You're going to ask your defense to get a stop. Do you want them to get a stop that will get the offense back with the ball, hoping to get down in field goal range again? Or are you going to ask them to get a stop that wins you the game? You have an opportunity to get a lead. You take a lead late in the 4th quarter and then ask your defense to get a stop. You've got a great defense. Just go do your job. And
this will be an interesting conversation, because I bet you this is not the last time we have this conversation, because
probably not.
And I hope that I can say with confidence later this year that we can pick up a yard like last year. Heck no, man. Take the points, right? We were awful last year at 4th down. We had 7 opportunities in one game last year to score from the 1 and did not.
Yeah.
This year, I'm hoping is a little different. That's why I wanted an early kind of success opportunity for the offense and this offensive line, and Robbie Oots and Charbonnet running the ball. And that was it. And he pulled back. And so that to me was just a little disappointing. I don't necessarily think you're wrong or I'm right or wrong or whatever. I just think it was a missed opportunity, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, I don't think there is a right or a wrong answer on either of these. It's what gives you the better chance of winning. And I think if Seattle had shown that they could run the ball, if they had been successfully running the football throughout the game, then absolutely you run the ball there, you go and get the touchdown, you win the game. But they hadn't shown that they could do that with regularity. And so you take the points, you take the lead, and you put it on your defense.
What do you take from this loss, Keith? And what do you do to kind of correct one or two things this week to ensure that it at least has a better opportunity to have a different result?
When the offense worked well, it was running the ball well. When they went stretches where they didn't do anything, they were trying to drop Sam Darnold back and throw it. They need to get after running the football, get those outside zone runs going, get Charbonnet the ball, and let him run people over and chew some clock, do those things. If you do that and establish this offense, so much more is going to happen for the offense. Play action stuff's going to show up. You're going to get more opportunities. More guys are going to do things, but they ran the ball well on that drive where they went down and scored the touchdown to make it 7-7. And in a couple other spots, they didn't run the ball well other than that. And I think you've got to go out and just be physical and say, hey, we're going to win the line of scrimmage running the football. And I want to see them say that that's who we are. Like that's our identity and that's what we're going to go do, and just go do it.
So the Jets lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who was our next opponent, Pittsburgh. But it wasn't because they didn't try, man. They put up a hell of a game, 394 yards to 271. They had 182 yards rushing against Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh only had 53. So if that doesn't give you some hope, 23 first downs, 7 of 14 on third downs, had 62 total plays to 54. They only allowed one sack. They had 2 punts in the game, and they won the time of possession 34 to 25, and they still lost.
And they lost. Like, how do you lose a game when you win statistically like that?
Yeah.
Turnovers.
Yeah, they had a couple turnovers, and Pittsburgh continued to press late in the game and scored 17 points in the fourth quarter to pull that thing out.
Yep, got to play.
So
got to play the full game.
You got to play the full game. So that gives me a little bit of hope, though, that Seattle could find some success running the ball, and I am with you, Keith. I would offer that suggestion to the Seahawks to establish themselves. They really need to establish this identity early. I know sometimes you want to get out of it or you just don't have opportunities, but I think and you mentioned kind of forcing the ball into Ken Walker. How do they successfully run the ball without forcing the ball into somebody's hands?
Give it to the guy who's actually having success. I think it's a simple answer. Charbonnet was running well. The offense was working when they handed it off to him. He was the guy getting 4 yards a carry. Why are you trying to make the Ken Walker thing happen in the second half when it's not working? At some point you have to go with a hot hand. You really do. And that in this game, the hot hand was Charbonnet. Get him in there, let him do his thing. Try again.
How do we end up getting other players on the offense involved?
I think you have to make a point of getting them involved. You have to run plays specifically for Cooper Kupp and Torrey Horton.
You got to get him in a rhythm. You got to get Horton involved at some point. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Otherwise, they start taking plays off. It's just one of those things where it's, listen, I'm not going to get the ball, so why am I even out here?
Yeah, I think you have to have plays ready to get those guys involved, to let Sam Darnold be a point guard and distribute amongst a bunch of people, and not be like, okay, well, we have this one mismatch that we know we can dominate, and that's JSN, and just go back to it, because you have to get everyone else involved. And I really think that they could have done that better. JSN's going to get his. He's too damn talented not to. And if teams want to focus on trying to take him away, which at some point teams are going to start doing, you better have someone else to go to. Someone else has got to get open. So you might as well get those guys involved early, and keep the safeties and everyone else honest, so they're not just cheating JSN, that they're having to cover everyone else.
So how you feeling? How you feeling about being 0-1 right now? When everyone, we predicted a win, and it just didn't start out that way. Where are you at?
I don't care. Week 1 is week 1. There's no tape on anybody. You didn't really know what to expect defensively and offensively. Now there's tape on people. You know more what to expect. You can game plan better. It really, now starting at week 2, is where you're going to start to see what a team really is.
Right. Well, now we get to face the 40-year-old quarterback and DK Metcalf. Mm-hmm. That should be a fun game on the road. It's not going to get any easier. And we need to just go out and really execute and take care of business. I'm hopeful that this team, by losing the way that they did, and having it not really come together for them on the offensive side of the ball, really kind of makes them dig a little deeper and really want this thing and come out and be wholesale different, at least on the offensive side of the ball.
Is Rodgers really only 40?
I don't know. 40,
I thought for
right?
sure he
41?
Was I thought for sure he was like 54 or something by now.
Yeah. All right. Let's get out of here. I wish it was a better, it was enjoyable though to talk about it and purge this thing. Let's get you ready for the game against Pittsburgh later in the week. And we'll come back and we'll talk all about that and find out how we can find some positivity to pull out of this week and take into that game, because I think we're going to need it for sure. So, but again, like you said, it's only one game and it doesn't really mean anything at this point. It really does mean something how you respond and go forward from here. So we'll see what kind of team we've got after this next game. So you can find Keith on Blue Sky at Myers NFL. You can find me at NW Seahawk. The show is Seahawks Playbook Podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform and our YouTube channel. Hit that subscribe button, like it, share it, all that good stuff. So until next time, go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Seahawks Playbook Podcast listeners, thanks for joining us for another edition of the show. You can find us on Twitter. Bill is at NW Seahawk, Keith is at Myers NFL, and the show is at Hawks Playbook. You can listen and subscribe to the show at SeahawksPlaybook.com.